First contact and discovery. The night shift at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station was typically uneventful. Commander Elena Reyes preferred it that way. The quiet hours between midnight and dawn gave her uninterrupted time with the vast universe, away from administrative meetings and oversight committees. Tonight, however, the tranquility was shattered by an alert from the station's long-range sensors. Elena's fingers danced across the holographic interface, bringing up the anomalous readings. At first glance, it appeared to be yet another near-Earth object, perhaps a previously undetected asteroid or a distant comet. But something about the readings struck her as odd. "Computer, run diagnostic on sensor array delta," she commanded, sipping her coffee. The midnight brew had gone cold hours ago, but Elena barely noticed as she scrutinized the data. Diagnostic complete. All systems functioning within optimal parameters, the AI responded in its neutral tone. Elena frowned, leaning closer to the projection. The object was massive, approximately 1,800 kilometers in diameter, nearly the size of Pluto. Yet it wasn't following any natural orbital pattern. As she watched, the trajectory changed by 3 degrees, a minuscule adjustment at cosmic scale, but one that defied all natural physics. "Director Cowrie needs to see this," she muttered, sending an urgent message to her superior. By morning, the observation center was buzzing with activity. Director Cowrie had arrived with a team of senior scientists, all clustered around Elena's workstation. "You're certain the equipment is functioning correctly?" Cowrie asked, his weathered face tense with concern. "I've run every diagnostic we have," Elena confirmed. 3 separate arrays are tracking it. This object has changed course 5 times now. "That's not natural, sir." Dr. Takahashi, the head astrophysicist, adjusted his glasses. "If it maintains current velocity, it will reach Jupiter's orbit in approximately 6 days." "That's impossible," another scientist interrupted. "Nothing travels that fast." "Nothing we know of," Elena corrected quietly. Director Cowrie straightened, his decision made. "I'm notifying the Security Council. Dr. Rice, you're leading the observation team. I want updates every hour." For the next 5 days, Elena barely left her station. She slept on a cot in the corner of the lab, waking every few hours to check the latest data. The object continued its approach, exactly as predicted, defying every attempt to classify it as a natural phenomenon. By day 3, news had leaked to the public. Crowds gathered in cities worldwide, eyes turned skyward, though the object remained invisible to the naked eye. Religious leaders called for calm while doomsday prophets proclaimed the end. Governments issued reassuring statements that felt hollow against the unprecedented reality. On day 6, as the object established orbit around Mars, every communication device on Earth simultaneously received the same message, translated into every human language. "We are the Vashuri. We come seeking dialogue with Earth's people. We intend no harm." The simple message sent shockwaves through human civilization. After centuries of speculation, humanity finally had proof it wasn't alone in the universe. The question now was what to do about it. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session, establishing the First Contact Response Team, a carefully selected group of scientists, diplomats, and military personnel. Elena was surprised to find her name on the list. "Your early detection and analysis earned you this position," Director Cowrie explained during the briefing. "You understand this object better than anyone." 3 days later, Elena boarded the transport vessel Spirit of Inquiry, bound for Mars orbit. The journey would take 2 weeks, remarkably fast by conventional standards, but agonizingly slow given the circumstances. During the transit, the team prepared relentlessly, developing protocols for every conceivable scenario. "We still don't know their intentions," General Okafor reminded them during one session. The Nigerian officer headed the security contingent. First contact scenarios throughout human fiction overwhelmingly trend toward conflict. Fiction isn't reality. encountered Dr. Patel, the team's xenobiologist. A spacefaring civilization capable of constructing a vessel that size has likely outgrown territorial aggression. They could destroy us without this elaborate approach. Elena remained silent during these debates, focusing instead on the continuous stream of data being relayed from Earth's observatories. The more she studied the Vashuri vessel, the more she marveled at its complexity. Its surface wasn't uniform, but textured with structures suggesting habitation zones, energy collection arrays, and propulsion systems unlike anything humanity had theorized. "It's not just a ship," she finally announced during an evening briefing. "It's an entire civilization." As they approached Mars orbit, Elena stood at the observation deck, watching as the Vashuri worldship grew increasingly visible. From this distance, it resembled a small moon with an iridescent surface that caught the distant sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. A smaller vessel, though still massive by human standards, had detached from the worldship and now approached their ship. The spirit of inquiry maintained position as final preparations were made for the encounter. "Ready, Commander?" Ambassador Chen asked, joining Elena at the viewport. "As ready as anyone can be to meet aliens," she replied with a nervous smile. The docking procedure was flawless, suggesting the Vashuri had extensive experience with connecting to foreign vessels. Elena felt the subtle shift as the airlocks engaged and pressure equalized between the ships. When the doors finally opened, Elena's first thought was that the Vashuri were beautiful. Standing approximately 2 meters tall, they had slender, graceful bodies covered in what appeared to be scales that shifted colors like living opals. Their faces featured 4 large eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and they moved with fluid grace that suggested a different relationship with gravity than humans experienced. "I am Telesur," the foremost Vashuri said, its voice a melodious hum translated through devices both species now carried. "Lead communicator for the Vashuri Collective. We welcome Earth's representatives." Ambassador Chen stepped forward, performing the carefully rehearsed greeting. "On behalf of humanity, we come in peace and friendship. We are honored by this historic meeting." Telesur's scales rippled with blue-green patterns that Elena guessed might indicate pleasure. "The honor is mutual. We have traveled far to find others who think as we do." The initial exchange of pleasantries continued for several minutes before Telesur made an unexpected offer. "Would your delegation wish to see our worldship? There is much we could show you that might help explain our journey." Ambassador Chen glanced at the team members, receiving nods of agreement. "We would be honored," he replied. As they boarded the Vashuri shuttle, Elena found herself seated next to a younger Vashuri, whose scales displayed rapid patterns of gold and amber. "You are the one who first detected our approach," the alien said, the translation coming through with a lilting quality. Elena nodded, surprised. "How did you know?" "We observed your observation," the Vashuri replied with what might have been humor. "I am Neril, assistant to Telesur. Your detection of our course adjustments was impressive. Most species don't notice until we are much closer." "Most species?" Elena asked, suddenly alert. "You've encountered others." Neril's colors shifted to a deep blue. "Many. Over many millennia. The galaxy is not empty, though distances are vast and timelines rarely align." Before Elena could ask further questions, the shuttle accelerated toward the massive worldship. As they approached, Elena gasped at the scale of what they were seeing. What had appeared as texture from a distance revealed itself as sprawling structures, some resembling cities, others like massive agricultural zones, and still others defying easy categorization. The shuttle passed through an energy field that made Elena's skin tingle, then entered a cavernous docking bay where dozens of vessels of various designs were stationed. When the doors opened, Elena took her first breath of air from another civilization's home. It carried subtle fragrances, something like cinnamon mixed with sea breeze. "Welcome to Vashurian," Telesur announced as they disembarked. "Our home among the stars for the past 30,000 years." Elena exchanged stunned glances with her teammates. 30,000 years, longer than human civilization, had existed on Earth. As they followed their hosts into the world ship, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to discover its place in a much larger cosmic story than anyone had imagined. Telesir led them through corridors where the walls themselves seemed alive, responding to the presence of the Vashuri with subtle shifts in lighting and temperature. Other Vashuri they passed paused to observe the humans with obvious curiosity, their scale patterns flashing in what Alina guessed were expressions of surprise and interest. "How many of your people live aboard this vessel?" Ambassador Chen asked. "This world ship houses approximately 3 billion Vashuri," Telesir responded. "It is one of 17 such vessels that carry our civilization." The scale was almost incomprehensible. 17 planet-sized ships, each holding billions of individuals, a civilization that had abandoned planetary existence altogether. They entered a transport tube that moved them rapidly through the vessel's interior. When they emerged, Alina found herself looking out over an impossible landscape, a massive open space stretching kilometers in every direction, filled with forests, lakes, and what appeared to be agricultural zones. Above, instead of a ceiling, an artificial sky, complete with simulated sunlight, created the perfect illusion of being planetside. "This is one of our life-sustaining biomes," Telesir explained. "We maintain 68 distinct ecosystems throughout the world ship, preserving the biodiversity of our original homeworld." "It's incredible," Alina breathed, watching as small Vashuri children, their scales a pearly white color, played near a stream. "Why have you come to our solar system?" General Okafor asked, voicing the question that had been on everyone's mind. Telesir's colors darkened slightly. "That is a complex question, best answered after you have seen more of our home and history. But I can tell you this: we have been searching for potential allies for a very long time. Humanity has qualities that interest us greatly." "Allies?" Ambassador Chen repeated. "Against what?" "Against something ancient and patient," Telesir replied. "Something that lurks in the darkness between stars. But first, let us show you who we are, so you might understand what we ask." As they continued their tour of the massive vessel, Alina couldn't shake a growing sense of anticipation mixed with dread. Whatever had driven an advanced civilization to abandon their homeworld and spend millennia traveling between stars must be significant indeed. Humanity was standing at the threshold of a much larger universe than they had imagined, one filled with wonders beyond comprehension, but perhaps dangers as well. Legacy of the stars. The diplomatic quarters of the world ship, Vashurian, resembled a museum more than a meeting space. Artifacts from countless worlds adorned the walls and display pedestals, relics of civilizations the Vashuri had encountered during their 30,000-year journey. Alina moved slowly along the exhibits, pausing before what appeared to be a stone tablet covered in spiral glyphs. "This is not Vashuri writing," she observed, glancing at Neril, who had become her unofficial guide. "No," the young Vashuri confirmed, scales flickering with amber and gold. "Those are the markings of the architects, those who built the world ships before our ancestors claimed them." Alina turned sharply. "You didn't build these vessels. We are caretakers, not creators," Neril explained. "The architects vanished long before our civilization reached the stars. They left behind 19 world ships in orbit around our dying sun, a gift we did not understand until it was almost too late." Before Alina could pursue this revelation, Ambassador Chen called the human delegation to order. The formal meeting with the Vashuri High Council was about to begin. The council chamber was a circular room with a vaulted ceiling that displayed a real-time view of space around the vessel. 7 elder Vashuri, distinguished by the complexity of patterns flowing across their scales, sat in a semicircle. Opposite them, the human delegation took their assigned places. "We welcome humanity's representatives," the central elder spoke, introduced as council leader Varen. "For many cycles, we have observed your world from afar, watching your development with interest." "You've been watching us?" General Okafor asked, tension evident in his voice. "Not continuously," Varen clarified. We passed through many star systems in our journey. We first detected Earth's radio emissions nearly 80 years ago, during our previous transit through your sector. Ambassador Chen leaned forward. Counselor Telesir mentioned you seek allies. Against what threat? The elders exchanged complex color patterns before Varen responded. To understand the threat, you must first understand who we are. With your permission, we would share our history directly. At Chen's nod, a Vashuri technician approached with what resembled thin crystal circlets. These are memory translators, Telesir explained. They will allow us to share experiences rather than just words. After some hesitation, the human delegation accepted the devices. When Alina placed the circlet on her head, the council chamber dissolved around her. She stood on an alien world, the Vashuri homeworld, watching as their civilization discovered the abandoned world ships orbiting their dying sun. She felt their initial wonder, then their growing desperation as their star's instability threatened all life. She experienced their great migration as billions of Vashuri abandoned their planet to seek refuge in the world ships. The perspective shifted, and Alina witnessed centuries of their journey through space, encountering other civilizations, some hostile, most simply puzzled by the nomadic Vashuri. She felt their loneliness as cultures they befriended aged and died while the long-lived Vashuri continued their endless journey. Then came the first encounter with what the Vashuri called the Silence. At the edges of a distant galaxy, they discovered worlds stripped of all complex life. Civilizations reduced to ruins not by natural disaster or war, but by something methodical and thorough. The Vashuri world ships had retreated, but not before gathering evidence of what had happened. The memory shifted again, showing Alina fragments of encounters across thousands of years. More dead worlds, occasional survivors with terrifying stories, and finally, a pattern emerging. Whatever caused the silence was moving, slowly but inexorably, across the galaxy, and its path would eventually lead to Earth. When the memory share ended, Alina found herself gasping, her heart racing. Around her, the other humans were having similar reactions. What was that? Dr. Paddle demanded, her voice shaking. What destroys entire civilizations like that? We call them the Harvesters, Varen replied gravely. They are not like us, not like you. They do not communicate or negotiate. They consume advanced civilizations, strip planets of specific resources, and move on. They are ancient, patient, and methodical. If they're so dangerous, why seek us out? General Okafor asked. You've painted a target on our world by coming here. Earth was already known to them, Telesir interjected. Your radio transmissions have been broadcasting your location for over a century. But the Harvesters are still distant, perhaps 200 of your years from reaching this sector. Then why come to us now? Alina found herself asking, what can we possibly offer against something that threatens even your advanced civilization? The council leader's scales shifted to a deep purple Alina hadn't seen before. Because among all the species we have encountered, humans possess something unique, something we believe might be the key to finally stopping the Harvesters. And what is that? Ambassador Chen asked. Adaptability. Varen answered simply. Your species changes and evolves faster than any we have encountered. What takes our people centuries to accomplish, humans achieve in decades. You move from concept to innovation at speeds that astonish us. That's it, General Okafor scoffed. Our shorter lifespans. Not just your lifespans, Telesir corrected. Your neural architecture, your social structures, your willingness to experiment and take risks. The very qualities that sometimes lead to conflict among your people also drive your remarkable progress. Alina understood. You're saying we think differently than you do. Precisely, Varen confirmed. The architects who built these world ships left data suggesting the Harvesters can be defeated, but the solution requires a perspective we have been unable to achieve in 30,000 years of trying. Ambassador Chen exchanged glances with his team before responding carefully. If what you've shown us is accurate, This threat concerns all life in our galaxy, but we would need to verify your claims independently. Of course, Verin agreed. We offer full access to our historical archives and technical data. Study them. Consult with your leaders. But know that time, while measured in years rather than days, is still limited. Over the next 3 weeks, Alina and her team immersed themselves in the Vashuri archives. The evidence was overwhelming. The harvesters were real, their destructive path documented across thousands of light years. Though distant, they were indeed moving toward Earth's sector of the galaxy. Their technology is organic somehow, Alina explained during a transmission to the UN Security Council. The Vashuri believe the harvesters convert living matter into their ships and processing units. And they believe humans can help defeat these things. The Secretary General asked skeptically. They've provided us with technology from the architects, designs for defensive systems beyond anything we've imagined. Alina responded. But the Vashuri haven't been able to fully implement them because the principles involve conceptual leaps their minds don't naturally make. While our minds might, Dr. Takahashi concluded. The debate on Earth raged for months. Some nations advocated immediate alliance with the Vashuri, while others suspected deception. Ultimately, the evidence proved too compelling to ignore. 1 year after first contact, humanity signed the Stellar Defense Accord with the Vashuri Collective. The knowledge transfer began immediately. Vashuri scientists worked alongside human engineers, teaching them technologies that had previously been theoretical at best. Quantum computing, gravity manipulation, matter conversion, advances that would have taken centuries arrived in a matter of years. 5 years into the alliance, Alina stood aboard the observation deck of humanity's first prototype world ship, under construction in Earth orbit. At just 50 kilometers in diameter, it was tiny compared to the Vashuri vessels, but it represented a quantum leap for human engineering. It's impressive, Neril said, joining her at the viewport. The young Vashuri had become Earth's primary liaison, and something close to a friend. It's just the beginning, Alina replied. The full-scale vessel will be ready within a decade. Neril's scales shimmered with what Alina now recognized as astonishment. Such a timeline would be impossible for us. You see why we sought your help. Alina nodded, watching as construction drones swarmed around the massive framework. The harvesters have never encountered humans before. They've never faced a species that can change strategies as quickly as we do, or one so inherently unpredictable. Neril added with what Alina had learned was the Vashuri equivalent of a smile. The construction of Earth's defense fleet proceeded at a pace that astounded the Vashuri. Human innovations improved upon the ancient architect designs, creating vessels that combine the best of both species approaches. Where the Vashuri excelled at long-term sustainability and ecological balance, humans contributed adaptability and tactical innovation. 10 years after first contact, Earth launched its first fully operational world ship, Terran Vanguard I. At 500 kilometers in diameter, it housed research facilities, defensive systems, and habitation zones for the multinational crew of 50,000. On the day of the launch ceremony, Alina stood beside Ambassador Chen, now Secretary General Chen, as he addressed the assembled dignitaries from both species. Today marks not just the beginning of humanity's journey to the stars, but our commitment to defending all life in our galaxy, he declared. Together with our Vashuri allies, we will face what comes from the darkness between stars. Later, as celebrations continued across Earth and aboard the world ships, Alina found a quiet moment with Council Leader Verin, who had aged visibly over the past decade. "Did you ever doubt we would help you?" she asked. Verin's scales rippled with complex emotions. "We observed your history, your wars, your divisions. Many on our council feared you would turn our technology against each other, or even against us. Some wanted to," Alina admitted. "Fear makes people consider terrible options. Yet here we stand," Verin noted. "Two civilizations, separated by biology and history, united by a common purpose. It's what humans do best," Alina said with a smile. "Adapt, overcome, and surprise everyone, including ourselves. The Vashuri world ship, Vashurian, would remain in Earth's system for another 5 years, continuing the knowledge transfer and cultural exchange. During that time, humanity would launch 3 more world ships, each incorporating new innovations and refinements. As the threat of the harvesters slowly approached from the galactic fringe, Earth was transforming. Cities expanded upward and outward as new materials and technologies revolutionized construction. Global conflicts diminished as nations recognized the greater threat looming in deep space. Resources once dedicated to weapons were redirected to building the interstellar fleet that would carry humanity's defiance to the stars. 20 years after first contact, Alina Rice, now Admiral Rice, stood on the bridge of the Terran Vanguard V, humanity's first purpose-built battle world ship. At 1,200 kilometers in diameter, it housed a permanent population of 300,000 and featured defensive and offensive capabilities that would have been unimaginable 2 decades earlier. Beside her stood her longtime friend Nerel, now a senior member of the Vashuri Council and commander of their defensive fleet. The long-range sensors have detected Harvester scout ships entering the Proxima Centauri system, Nerel reported, scales shifting with somber blues and purples. They will reach Sol within 5 years. Elena nodded, studying the tactical projection. Then it's time. The combined fleet will depart next month. 23 Vashuri world ships, 15 human vessels. Do you believe we can succeed? Nerel asked quietly. Elena remembered the frightened scientist who had first detected an anomaly at the edge of the solar system 20 years ago. How far they had all come since then. I believe, she said firmly, that the harvesters have never encountered anything like us before. They've never faced species working together instead of alone. They've never confronted world ships designed specifically to fight them. She turned to her friend, confidence in her eyes. They harvest worlds, Nerel. But we built our worlds to fight back. As the massive fleet prepared for departure, humanity looked to the stars not with fear, but with determination. Whatever waited in the darkness between stars would find something unprecedented. A young species armed with ancient knowledge, standing shoulder to shoulder with their alien allies. The galaxy was about to discover what humanity had always known about itself. When faced with extinction, humans didn't just survive. They thrived. They fought. And when the situation seemed most hopeless, they found ways to achieve the impossible.